Oracle Net Services enables network connections from a client or middle-tier application to the Oracle server. After a network session is established, Oracle Net acts as the data courier for both the client application and the database server. It is responsible for establishing and maintaining the connection between the client application and database server, as well as exchanging messages between them. Oracle Net, or something that simulates Oracle Net, such as Java database connectivity, is located on each computer that needs to talk to the database server. Oracle Net Listener, or simply the listener, is the gateway to the Oracle instance for all non-local user connections. A single listener can service multiple database instances and thousands of client connections. You can use Enterprise Manager Cloud Control or Oracle Net Manager to configure the listener and specify log file locations. Advanced administrators can also configure Oracle Net services by manually editing the configuration files, if necessary, with a standard operating system (OS) text editor such as V or Gedit. For an application to connect to a service through Oracle Net Listener, the application must have information about that service, including the address or host where the listener resides, the protocol that the listener accepts, and the port that the listener monitors. After the listener is located, the final piece of information that the application needs is the name of the service to which it wants to connect. An Oracle database is represented to a client as a service. A database can have one or more services associated with it. Databases are identified by a service name that is specified by the servicenames parameter in the initialization parameter file. The service name defaults to the global database name, which is a name that comprises the database name, DBNAME parameter value, and the domain name, DBDOMAIN parameter value. Users initiate a connection request to the Oracle database by sending a connect string. A connect string includes a username and password, along with a connect identifier. A connect identifier can be the connect descriptor itself or a name that resolves to a connect descriptor. One of the most common connect identifiers is a net service name, which is a simple name for a service. After Oracle Net names resolution is complete, a connection request is passed from the user or middle-tier application, hereafter referred to as the user process, to the listener. The listener receives a connect packet and checks whether that connect packet is requesting a valid Oracle Net service name. If the service name is not requested, as in the case of a TN-SPING request, the listener acknowledges the connect request and does nothing else. If an invalid service name is requested, the listener transmits an error code to the user process. If the connect packet requests a valid service name, the listener spawns a new process to deal with the connection. This new process is known as the server process. The listener connects to the process and passes the initialization information, including the address information for the user process. At this point, the listener no longer deals with the connection and all work is passed to the server process. The server process checks the user's authentication credentials, usually a password, and if the credentials are valid, a user session is created. Easy Connect Naming. The Easy Connect naming method enables clients to connect to an Oracle database server by using a TCP/IP connect string consisting of a host name and optional port and service name as follows: connect username, password at host, port, service_name. The Easy Connect naming method requires no configuration. Local naming. The local naming method stores connect descriptors, identified by their net service name, in a local configuration file named tnsnames.ora on the client. Directory naming. To access a database service, the directory naming method stores connect identifiers in a centralized directory server that is compliant with the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, LDAP. External naming. The external naming method stores net service names in a supported non-Oracle naming service. Supported third-party services include Network Information Service, NIS, External Naming Distributed Computing Environment, DCE, Cell Directory Services, CDs. With Easy Connect, you supply all information that is required for the Oracle Net connection as part of the connect string. Easy Connect connection strings take the following form: less than username greater than, less than password greater than at less than host name greater than, less than listener port greater than, less than service name greater than. The listener port and service name are optional. If the listener port is not provided, Oracle Net assumes that the default port of 1521 is being used. If the service name is not provided, Oracle Net assumes that the database service name and host name provided in the connect string are identical. With local naming, the user supplies an alias for the Oracle Net service. OracleNet checks the alias against a local list of known services and, if it finds a match, converts the alias into host, protocol, port, and service name. One advantage of local naming is that the database users need to remember only a short alias rather than the long connect string required by EasyConnect. With directory naming, the user supplies an alias for the OracleNet service. OracleNet checks the alias against an external list of known services and, if it finds a match, converts the alias into host, protocol, port, and service name. Like local naming, database users need to remember only a short alias. The external naming method stores net service names in a supported non-Oracle naming service. Supported third-party services include Network Information Service (NIS), external naming, Distributed Computing Environment (DCE), Cell Directory Services (CDs). Conceptually, external naming is similar to directory naming.
Enterprise Manager Cloud Control provides an integrated environment for configuring and managing Oracle Net services. Use Enterprise Manager to configure Oracle Net services for any Oracle home across multiple file systems and to administer listeners. Oracle Net Manager provides a graphical user interface, way, through which you can configure Oracle Net services for an Oracle home on a local client or a server host. Oracle Net Configuration Assistant, launched by Oracle Universal Installer when you install the Oracle software. During a typical database installation, Oracle Net Configuration Assistant automatically configures a listener called listener that has a TCP/IP listening protocol address for the database. If you perform a custom installation, Oracle Net Configuration Assistant prompts you to configure a listener name and protocol address of your choice. Listener Control Utility, used to start, stop, and view the status of the listener process. The following Oracle Net Services components can be configured by using Enterprise Manager Cloud Control and Oracle Net Manager. Listener configuration of the listener includes specifying the listener name, protocol addresses it is accepting connection requests on, and services, database or non-database service, it is listening for. Naming, net service name, naming methods. Profiles. The Oracle Net Configuration Assistant configures the listener, naming methods, directory server usage, and a local tnsnames.ora file during installation of Oracle database software. To administer Oracle Net Services in Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, select Net Services. Administration in the host menu for your target host. The Net Services administration page enables you to configure Oracle Net Services for any Oracle home across multiple file systems. It also provides common administration functions for listeners such as starting and stopping a listener, and changing its tracing and logging characteristics. You can also look at a listener's control status report. Use Oracle Net Manager to configure Oracle Net services for an Oracle home on a local client or server host. The Listener Control Utility enables you to control the listener. With LSNRCTL, you can start the listener, stop the listener, check the status of the listener, reinitialize the listener from the configuration file parameters, dynamically configure many listeners, change the listener password. The basic command syntax for this utility is LSNRCTL greater than command, listener_name. When the LSNRCTL command is issued, the command acts on the default listener, named listener, unless a different listener name is specified or the set current _listener command is executed. If the listener name is listener, the listener_name argument can be omitted. The valid commands for LSNRCTL are shown in the slide. The command line syntax is typically used to execute an individual command or scripted commands. If you plan to execute several consecutive LSNRCTL commands, the prompt syntax is more efficient. Note that the listener_name argument is omitted, and the command would thus affect the listener named listener. When a database service is accessible by multiple listener protocol addresses, you can specify the order in which the addresses are to be used. The addresses can be chosen randomly or tried sequentially. In cases in which more than one listener is available, such as Oracle Real Application Clusters, RAC, configurations, Oracle Net can take advantage of listener failover and load balancing as well as Oracle Connection Manager source routing. TNSPing is the Oracle Net equivalent of the TCP/IP ping utility. It offers a quick test to verify that the network path to a destination is good. For example, enter TNSPing ORCL in a command line window. The utility validates that the host name, port, and protocol reach a listener. It does not actually check whether the listener handles the service name. The tnsping utility also reveals the location of the configuration files. In a system with multiple Oracle_home locations, this can be helpful. In a dedicated server configuration, a server process handles requests for a single client process. A shared server configuration enables multiple client processes to share a small number of server processes. Detailed information on each configuration follows in this lesson. With dedicated server processes, there is a 1-to-1 ratio of server processes to user processes. Each server process uses system resources, including CPU cycles and memory. In a heavily loaded system, the memory and CPU resources that are used by dedicated server processes can be prohibitive and can negatively affect the system's scalability. Each service that participates in the shared server process architecture has at least one dispatcher process, and usually more. When a connection request arrives, the listener does not spawn a dedicated server process. Instead, the listener maintains a list of dispatchers that are available for each service name, along with the connection load, number of concurrent connections, for each dispatcher. The change in the SGA and PGA is transparent to the user. However, if you are supporting multiple users, you need to increase the large_pool_size initialization parameter. Each shared server process must access the data spaces of all sessions so that any server can handle requests from any session. Space is allocated in the SGA for each session's data space. You limit the amount of space that a session can allocate by setting the private_SGA resource. The Oracle shared server architecture is an efficient process and memory use model, but it is not appropriate for all connections. Because of the common request queue and the fact that many users may share a dispatcher response queue, shared servers do not perform well with operations that must deal with large sets of data, such as warehouse queries or batch processing. A database link is a schema object in one database that enables you to access objects on another database. The other database need not be an Oracle database system. However, to access non-Oracle systems, you must use Oracle heterogeneous services. To create a private database link, you must have the Create Database Link system privilege. To create a public database link, you must have the Create Public Database Link system privilege. The slide shows the tnsnames.ora entry that is needed before creating a database link. The example shows a fixed user database link called remote that is connecting to the user HR by using the connect string remote_ORCL. After you create a database link, you can use it to refer to tables and views on the other database.